Now, trade ties between Australia and China are booming, bringing a wave of Chinese investment in resource and agricultural projects. Reporter Ting Zhang spoke with Australian Business Council CEO Stephen Cartwright on the sidelines of an international import expo in China. She started by asking how the growing Chinese interest is being received in Australia.
Look, we have a need for foreign investment. We've got a relatively small population and we depend upon foreign investment in order to grow our businesses and to build infrastructure. Right. So we welcome foreign investment. We have a government body called the Foreign Investment Review Board, which looks carefully at foreign companies and how they invest in Australia. Mm-hmm. I think most people would accept that they've got the balance right, that we need to find the balance between attracting foreign investment but making sure that we don't sell the farm, so to speak, in the process. And I think we've got the balance probably right.
Right. That's interesting because one Australian expert in Shanghai we spoke with earlier, and he said he sees this investment as a double-edged sword. As a business trade promotion organization, how do you see this coming in the future? That is it not yet ready for Australia to accept Chinese business as becoming a leader in certain industries yet?
I think that provided that it's done properly, I think Australians welcome input from overseas companies, and China would be seen no differently to any other country around the world in terms of being welcomed if those companies are going to contribute to the improvement of our business environment. Sure. And so we need to make sure that we get the policy settings right, whereby we still attract foreign companies and welcome them and encourage them to come and invest in Australia, but we don't necessarily say to those companies, you can own the whole of Australia, and Australians don't have that level of involvement anymore. So we have to get the balance right. I think that's the key.
Right. Just one specific case recently is the telecommunications, the Huawei company just been denied access into this bidding for a $38 million contract in building this national broadband network. And how do business insiders actually interpret this? I mean, of course, there's a level of concern in terms of the government involved.
I think that particular case is probably a little different to most business activity. There are always going to be certain industry sectors where the sensitivities involved require perhaps a different policy setting. So defence would be one example, telecommunications obviously, but you know, the government in Australia decided that there are certain industry sectors where we have to be perhaps more diligent in terms of the partners that we involve, and I think that's what's happened on this occasion. And that's not to say that it you know, that it wouldn't necessarily have worked out fine. It's just that, like all countries, and I'm sure China is exactly the same, the government wants to be careful to make sure that its sovereignty is properly protected, and I think that's probably an appropriate thing.
Time for another break coming up. Do units represent better value than houses in capital?